Hello! Surprise! I do realize it's not Tuesday, and I said that's when I'm going to be back, but I wanted to do this again because last night was just so much more than I was expecting, and I wanted to use my free time tonight to do this again. Yeah, I was just so unprepared last night. Last night was so much more than I was expecting. I was overwhelmed by all the people. I had no idea if people were even going to call in, much less the amount of people that were calling in all night, and it was crazy. So, guessing you guys can all hear me? I'll give you the number in a second. I'm seeing people asking. Actually, I think it's already in the description. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for just bearing with me as I figure out all this stuff. This is obviously a huge departure for me. And also, it's a lot to take in. And I really want this to be a special place where people feel safe calling in. I'm going to unplug this phone again. And it's going to take me some time to figure out what that looks like. So thank you for your patience with me. And I also want to say before we start taking callers tonight, I'm going to do this till about midnight tonight. I can't go till 1 a.m. tonight, but this is a random one. So I do want to say that last night felt a bit fast. It felt like I went into it thinking 12 seconds, give people 12 seconds, because I was expecting a ton of trolls, and of course there were a bunch of trolls. And the whole night I felt like I was just fending off people who were coming in trying to troll, or I felt like there were some people who came in with really subtle trolls, like they were trying to lead me on with problems, it felt like. At least that's what it felt like. And I know for sure that I'm going to end up hanging up on people who shouldn't be hung up on. That's part of the danger of what this is, and I realize that. But I also think it's part of what makes this such a special place, because it's so open and it's so interactive. I mean, you guys are watching this, and if at any point throughout the life cycle of this project, if anybody wants to call in, just knowing that they can call in, I feel like that's just that's something I would have wanted through many years of my life. So it's going to take me some time to get into the swing of this, but I do appreciate your patience and support as I figure out what that looks like. And to the people who called in last night, to anybody who called in and got hung up on unnecessarily, like if you were calling in with a real problem and I hung up, I want you to call back in because I'm going to tonight try to go a little bit slower. Obviously, I will still be hanging up on people because that's part of what this is. I can't just take every caller that calls in because the phones are just ringing off the hook. And I respect the viewers' time, of course. I want viewers to get something out of this too. And I think that there's things that our callers will be sharing that will be interesting to hear about. And so the goal of this is to get to those callers and not waste time, not to be rude or curt or too fast. So with that being said, let's dive right in. I'm going to open up the phones, and we're going to try this again. We're going to go a little bit slower. So bear with me if it's the opposite of what last night was. We're going to find this because I believe in this. It's going to take time, but I appreciate you guys being here for it. So going to throw this number up on the screen and give it just a second. Callers are already calling in, but coming right back. And there shouldn't be as much ringing tonight. It seemed like the ringing was really invasive last night in the live stream feed, so rings are silenced tonight. And with that, here we go, taking our first caller. Hello, thanks for calling. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you tonight?
I'm good. This is kind of crazy, man. I grew up on your videos. This is great. My friend's brother, he committed suicide last weekend.
Oh my gosh. Your friend's brother.
And yeah, and I'm really just struggling to process that.
Yeah. Were you close with this person?
I was like close, like kind of like more acquaintances with him. Um, I'm closer with his sister, obviously, but I'm trying to like juggle how to like be there for her with also like it's affecting me and like my own depression.
Hmm. So you're dealing with your own personal depression on top of this, or the depression is a result of this person killing themselves?
Yeah, like I deal with depression and then like it's amplified now since then.
Right. Suicide's scary. I'm so sorry to hear this. This is horrible news. How is your friend?
She's she's good. She's well, as good as you can expect. I mean, the family is getting a lot of support in the community, which is, I mean, it's nice to see.
That's good. Um, was there was this expected, or was it completely out of the blue? Or I mean, nobody expects someone to kill themselves,
Yeah.
obviously. But was it was this
So
person struggling with something?
he was actually going to school, um, away like he was going to school. I'm not gonna say the city, but a city in Canada, like in another province, and he hadn't been home for 8 months, so no one knew at all.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, that's so hard to hear. Are you all right? Are you obviously you're shaken by this, but are you is there something?
Yeah, well, I mean, like on it, since then, I've been like the last week since then, it's been sort of like I haven't really had motivation to leave the house, and it's kind of been like it's been getting better, and I've found things that I can really like pour my focus on, and so I'm not thinking about it. But up until lately, it was a fixation almost.
What kinds of things are helping you get your mind off this?
Work, well, I'm an artist, so work primarily. I'm just like trying to do full days of that, and
Hmm. So you're working a lot to get your mind off of it. Is that right?
yeah,
I see.
exactly.
Is that feel like it's helping?
It's yeah, I mean, it's helping. It helps in the moment, but then once it stops, then then it's of no benefit.
Right. How old are you?
20.
You're 20. Okay. Have you ever had this happen before? Have you ever had anybody in your life die in this way?
This is the closest. It's hasn't been a super common thing.
Right. Well, that's fortunate. Um, yeah, it makes me wonder if you've taken time to really mourn that loss and really contemplate what that uh, what that means, or if you're using. I would hope that you're not using work to distract yourself from what's just happened, because in some ways it does. I would hope that you're taking time to really process that and not just stuff it down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's really stuffing it down, but I think what I'm struggling with is finding a balance between like dwelling on it and pushing it down,
Mm-hmm.
and between like thinking of it like, because like I also feel like I'm being selfish whenever I'm like thinking of it like from my perspective and how I feel about it, balancing that with like how I should be there for like my friend, or like how it's like, I don't know.
Right. Well, it sounds like you're, from what I can hear, it sounds like you are processing it, and I think that's great. Do you have people that you can confide in about your deepest, darkest feelings about this, or are you just completely alone?
I'm I mean, I have a support group, but like
That's good.
it always what I say always kind of goes to an
What do you feel like you're getting out of the support group? Are they uh, is the value there? You got a good support group that you believe in, and you feel like they're there for you.
expense.
You do. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, and I feel like everyone's still going through it in their own way, and being understanding of that.
Right. I'm getting some call. My call waiting is beeping in my ear when
Yeah,
these
of
calls
course.
come in. I'm not sure if you're hearing these.
Thanks for picking up, man.
No,
I appreciate you
I'm not
having
hanging
this
up. I'm trying to turn
conversation.
off the notifications so I can hear you. If you give me 1 second, I'm gonna keep going. I just gotta figure out how to get these tones off. I'll figure it out at the end of this, I guess, because I don't see it immediately. I also believe viewers are probably hearing that, so we'll figure that out. This is a slow roll to the chat here. We're going to be figuring out these things. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so back to your situation here. You're not in any danger, right? You're not getting any weird ideas or anything, right? You're safe and you're healthy. It sounds like.
Yeah, I'm safe.
Okay, that's good. You said you're depressed. What's that like?
It's well, I have seasonal depression,
Okay,
and like usually for probably the last 4 years, it's been a recurring thing for like pockets of months throughout the year.
I see. Okay,
So it's the period that I'm going through, like it's expected, and I like been to therapy in the past, and I know how to cope with it.
okay, good.
But
That's great.
this is like just kind of like this. It hasn't. I had like nothing like this has been thrown at me
Right.
while I'm in this mindset before.
Yeah, it's a lot. A lot of people are really sad right now. A lot of people are going through a lot, and the state of the world. It's intense for a lot of people, I guess. Really sorry to hear about um, your loss here. And is there something deeper going on that you want to cover, or did you just want to get that off your chest, or how can we make this a beneficial call for you?
That's no. This is beneficial enough just to get this off my chest.
Okay. Well, I hope you know you can call back anytime, and that you're not alone for sure. There's, of course, doesn't make it any better that lots of people are doing this, of course. But I do think that um, you're supported by a lot of people going through the same thing in the ether, at the very least. And I think that's what we're doing here is about. And I appreciate you so much calling and sharing your story today.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having this conversation and for doing this stream and for like being there for people. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Take care. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Hi, this is Julian, right?
That's right.
Hi, yeah. So I have a question essentially. So I'm going into film when once I get out of this town, but essentially big question is what did you do to get started with your career?
Toast. Sorry, guys. Not trying to be rude, but we're looking for people that are struggling with something. Hello. Thanks for calling. This is Julian. Hello. Toast. Make sure your audio is working if you call. I realize I'm saying this as a man with barely functional live stream audio, but it is what it is. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey, man. I've recently found, just kind of in the last couple of years, but especially recently, I've had trouble connecting with people, like on a level beyond surface, even with some of my closest friends. And I've been able to pinpoint some things that have happened in the past that might have led to this. I've had a pretty strong group, really good group of friends since high school, but just kind of now I'm in college, and as I've grown up, it just kind of like we've sort of drifted apart in a natural way that happens with people going to college and things like that. But I find it hard, even with my really close friends, to connect and open up. And it can sometimes feel like, even though if I were to write down names on paper, like I have quite a few friends, but very few people that I'm comfortable really opening up to and talking about anything I'm struggling with, even in my family. So kind of just feeling alone, I guess, in the last few years, but especially recently. And I just kind of don't know how to get over this block of not being able to open up to people, even people who've made it very clear that they want me to open up to them and that they're there for me. There's just something in me that I'm not able to open up. Like I'm holding myself back.
How old are you?
I'm 19. I'll be 20 in a couple months.
How did you, how long has this been going on? Where you've been feeling this way where like you can't connect with people?
It's really something that I've been able to put a pin on recently, that I've been able to kind of accept, hey, this is kind of a problem, without like getting super specific and drawn out. There was kind of a typical you fall in love in high school thing that happened with me, with a girl who ended up moving away shortly after. We've been very close friends for a few years. It got to the point that I would say she was my best friend, and then I kind of did the stupid thing of ready to move across the country. I confessed my love to her, and she said she felt the same way. She moved away, and then kind of lost contact. Long story short, she's now married, and we're not even in contact anymore. And I lost that. She was my closest friend, and then I lost another really close friend. We're still super close friends, but he moved away as well to school. So I felt like all at once I lost a bunch of friends to distance. And then I called in last night and mentioned that I'm kind of deconstructing from Christianity. That all kind of hit at the same time.
Wow, you got a lot going on.
Yeah. And all my closest friends are church friends, the people that I really consider to be lifelong friends or church friends. And then with my family being heavily involved in the church, that whole aspect, the deconstruction aspect, is something I feel like I can't really open up about.
Right. Wow.
So I think it's kind of just a compound of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you're going through a lot, it sounds like. Sounds like this has been a really intense few years. Is that right? It's been going on for a few years?
Yeah, and it's not something that, like, it hasn't traumatized me. It's not like I can't sleep at night, but I think it's just been a slow kind of pile up that isn't just now getting to me, where I'm realizing that I kind of probably should do something about it soon emotionally. Otherwise, I don't want to end up in my 30s and I'm this emotionally repressed, like, this, you know?
Right. Well, how, I'm struggling to know which question to ask first. There's so much there that you just went off on. I was wondering at first about the girl you mentioned that you were close with and then lost. Was that, and then you mentioned you were deconstructing some religion, which is one of the hardest things you can do, obviously. So, that's I'm wondering if you've spent time identifying if this is like Um, maybe you have some. Did you feel rejected by this girl? Was there a sense of rejection there, or was there what was that?
Um, so again, when the initial kind of professing my love to her, we had been really close friends for I'd say 3 years, and it got to the point where we were super close friends. And I kind of always had a crush on her, but as we got closer, I was like, man, I think I'm gonna marry this girl. Which, high school. But I confessed my love to her, and she was like, hey, I feel the same way, but I'm moving away. I don't know what to do. But we kind of just spent it was in the summer, so we spent the next month or so essentially dating, but we weren't really dating.
I
We had to
see.
put that label on it, and then she moved away, and we kept in touch, FaceTiming all the time. At one point, she actually moved to a Bible college,
A
and
Bible
she
college.
kind of did the stereotypical Christian high school college kid thing where it's like, I feel like I need to spend time with the Lord right now. So she did that, and at the time I was like, that's perfectly fine. I get it. We're across the country anyway. I was really torn up about it, but I said okay. And then she kind of just fell out of contact, and so I was trying to keep in touch with her because aside from our romantic involvement, she was my best friend, so I wanted to know how she was doing on a day-to-day basis, and she just kind of quit texting me and responding to my texts. I finally ended up calling her a few months later just to kind of get a feel for where we were at, and that's when she told me that she had a boyfriend, which kind of racked my world a little bit. I think I was 17 at the time, so that was a lot for me to kind of handle. The first girl I'd ever loved now telling me that she had a boyfriend, when I didn't really think that we were officially over yet. And then not long after that is, I'd say, when I started questioning some things about Christianity and just wondering, hey, maybe this thing that I've been raised with my entire life isn't 100% true. And that's just still something I'm grappling with to this day. But I think that with the girl, who honestly I look to a lot as like a spiritual standard of like, if you're raised in Christianity, I don't know how you were raised, but if you're raised in Christianity, you kind of get this example of either a godly man or a godly woman. And in my mind, one of the reasons I was pursuing her was like, she's this godly woman. And so when she did this and it really kind of broke my heart, I started to wonder maybe she's not perfect, which that's kind of on me in the first place for assuming that a person was perfect. But I'd say that coupled with all these questions coming to my mind about Christianity, all of that kind of just hit at once. And sorry, I know that's a huge info dump, but
No, it's great. I appreciate you sharing. And I'm glad you feel comfortable sharing that kind of stuff. What was your family life like growing up? Did you feel like, were you close with your family? Did you feel supported by your family?
yeah, my family is super, super supportive. My dad works at our church. Um, my parents have a great relationship. Yeah, I've had a fantastic family life there. I'm currently in film school, which is kind of a weird thing where do you send your kid into this career that may not have much success, but they've been completely supportive since I was a kid. So my family life has been fantastic, which kind of adds to the being scared of bringing up some of these doubts because I don't want to be the kid who is quote unquote lost. I mean, to be clear, my parents aren't like, they would never kick me out of the family and tell me never to come back. But it's more of I know that no matter how much they kept saying they love me, I know it would be true, but I also feel like they would be disappointed,
Right. Well, it makes me wonder about you mentioned you have this problem connecting with people. That was the first thing you started with, and then you went into all
Yeah.
these different factors, like this girl and one of your best friends, and you're deconstructing a religion, and all that stuff to me sounds like it sounds like par for the course for where you are. I mean, you're doing a lot of work. And I want to commend you that you're doing that you're doing the work you're doing, that you're, I mean, I don't know your story, so I can't say that you're doing everything right. And that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to say you're doing things right or wrong, of course, but I'm here to just listen and support people. And, I just want to be a voice of support, saying that you sound like you've thought about this, and you sound collected, and you sound, like you know where you are in this process, which is a lot more than I could say when I was going through some similar things in my life at your age. So I think that's awesome to hear that. I'm also curious about, and this might get us on an unrelated topic, so we might wind it down here, but I'm wondering about, does your family know that you're going through this stuff with your religion? Because if not, then maybe that's creating some kind of, I know that when I went through some similar things, it made me feel like I didn't know what was safe to share with certain people and things like that, because you didn't know how certain people were going to react to things. Makes me wonder if you've had those kinds of conversations with your family yet, and if not, how you feel about those kinds of conversations happening.
Yeah. So I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and the oldest is my brother, and he's significantly older than me, and he moved away, and I've only learned in the last few years that he actually completely deconstructed, overhauled everything. And my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, also went through a deconstruction process probably 10 years ago, and I've only recently found out about that, because I'm kind of just now getting to the age where I can have real conversations. I'm not just the little brother anymore.
Right.
But we've, the 3 of us, my brother, my brother-in-law, and me, we've had conversations in private about their deconstruction experiences, but because I still feel like in many ways that I'm on the edge of that precipice, kind of just beginning that, I've really just been listening and absorbing their scenarios and situations, not as much kind of giving my intake on it, because I really do feel like I'm kind of lost in that area, not sure which direction to go. So I've kind of just been taking in what I've heard them say and kind of feeling out what I believe and what I agree with and what I disagree with. But those are the only 2 people who really have any idea about that. And at this point, I don't think, especially with how unclear I even am as to where I'm at, I don't know that a conversation with anyone else in my family would be very beneficial.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. Well, I mean, that is part of that is one of the most difficult parts of what you're going through with the religion stuff specifically. It's just so hard to talk about, and it's crazy because it's designed to be hard to talk about. And I'm not weighing in on whether certain religions are more accurate or worthy than others. That's not what I'm trying to get into. But I'm just saying that the very purpose of religion is like for people to take pride in where they're from, and every religion is designed that way. So it's a weird thing to deconstruct, because when you have friends that are really close who are still tied into that, it can be impossible. It's mostly impossible to talk with anyone about it, because most people's whole sense of self-worth is tied up in it. And so I want to be voice of support in your ear, saying that I see the dilemma you've got, and I wish it were easier for you. I hate that you're depressed. I'm glad you called in and that you feel good talking about it, because a lot of people can't even do that. A lot of people feel like calling with problems is like a sign of weakness or something, and I just very much believe the opposite, and I'm so glad you called in tonight.
Thanks. And well, I will say it helps that you're anonymous and you don't know me. That definitely made it easier to talk about. So
that's great to hear. That's great to hear. Thanks so much for calling, and I wish you the best. Take care.
Same.
All right, so here to the chat. We have corrected the call waiting notifications, which is why you should not be hearing those anymore, which is great. We've got all calls now just going to voicemail when we're on calls. And with that, we're taking the next caller. Here we go. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey.
What would you like to talk about tonight?
Is this Julian?
That's right.
Hey, I'm Jack.
Oh, no names. Toast. Sorry, can't do any names. If you mention your name, I will have to hang up. If you call back again, I won't recognize your number. I'm not keeping track of numbers or anything. So if you call back and don't use your name, I'll answer. Most likely. All right, here's the next one. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey.
What would you like to talk about tonight?
So like I'm in college right now, and I've been here for like almost 2 years, I guess, and I don't have any friends still. Like this past weekend, like you've been like the first person I've talked to in like 4 days.
Oh, really? You haven't talked to anybody in 4 days from today?
Yeah.
How's that? Not
like,
even
during the
strangers?
week, I have like classes during the week, and so I can talk to like teachers during the week and such. But weekends, I just kind of sit in a chair and don't do anything.
Are you depressed?
Sometimes, but it's not as much as I would think from like an outside observation.
You're saying that you feel like you seem more depressed to others than you may actually be?
No, I'm saying I feel like I should be more than I am.
Oh, well, that's good. Did something happen?
Yeah.
Were you always this way?
No. High school, like all my friends moved away, and so I just kind of like got used to being alone. And then I got like really depressed senior year of high school. I was able to work through it, and I'm like, oh, going to college, and nothing's changed still.
I see. Do you have family?
Yeah, I've got family.
Brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got a brother and sister.
Did they know that you're going through this?
I think they have like a hunch, but I haven't like talked to them about it.
Do you have a sense of what's at the root of this problem?
I think a part of it is just like addiction to like the internet and using it as like a coping thing to like not needing other people. But
heard that. I heard that. Yeah, that's.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm just agreeing with you. That sounds like sounds like an astute observation.
I just came up with that last weekend. Yeah.
Oh, really? So this is a new revelation.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, this weekend I tried not being on like playing video games and whatnot, and it's definitely weird, but.
So what do you do in your free time when you're not? I mean, it sounds like you've identified this problem area, and you're taking steps to build new habits. So, what are you replacing those things with that you used to do?
I kind of like stopped doing it a little bit, and then I like got all my homework done. I was like all caught up on everything, and it was less. I don't know. I went back to like watching old movies and whatnot, which is like the same thing basically. But I felt like I was choosing to do it rather than having nothing else, I guess.
Do you go to school? How can you get yourself out there?
Yeah, I go to college right now.
Okay. Are there people that you wish were in your inner circle of friends that you haven't maybe taken active steps towards pursuing relationships with, or are there things just trying to get creative and think of trying to understand your world?
There's like clubs and stuff that I've like tried to go to, but it seems like everyone already knows each other, and I'm just kind of like in the background, I guess.
What are you into besides video games? What are your interests?
I like TV, I guess, and like the writing. I went to a
Writing.
creative writers thing,
Oh, okay. What kind of writing?
but there was a lot of people. Fictional stuff.
Okay.
Uh,
So maybe you're introverted.
yeah, I think I am,
A lot
but
of writers are.
I remember when I still had friends, like I really like being around a small group of people, but
Right. I'm the same way. I don't like big
yeah,
groups unless I know everybody. I mean, I'm not like
yeah,
averse to them, but I prefer conversations with people one-on-one like this. It's easier for me for some
yeah,
reason.
me too.
So it sounds like we need some ideas on how to find those one or two people that you're just not connecting with. It's yeah, you're like more of a quality time kind of guy. It sounds like. So
Yeah.
do you? I can't remember your answer clearly. I asked if there was anybody that you know that you could reach out to and just start a conversation with. Maybe that feels unnatural for you. I don't know.
I have like two friends from my hometown, but they're both busy all the time. But
Mm.
um,
What about using the internet to find new people? And that's one of the good things about the internet is you can find all kinds of subcultures and people who have different interests, and it can be a great vehicle for initial connections. Have you? Do you have any channels like that you could leverage to meet new people in person? Maybe a dating app. As much as I hate dating apps, maybe it's a good idea.
maybe I don't have any photos of myself.
What's that?
That's a big problem. I don't have photos of myself, which is kind of the big problem with dating apps.
Hmm.
But I've tried finding like Discords and stuff, but those are all like people who are like either in high school still or live on the other side of the world.
Hmm. Are you an intellectual type? You like into history or something? Or I'm trying to figure out. You sound pretty introverted. That's why I'm starting with that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me think. I'm more of a creative type.
Okay. You're a creative introvert.
I would say, but.
Yeah. There are a lot of people in your class that you can, in your classes that you feel like you have anything in common with. Is this like a disconnect problem where you don't feel like you have common ground with people, or is it like a nerves thing? Like you are nervous to initiate conversations with people or something?
I think it's definitely the second one, the nerves.
Okay.
I feel.
Okay.
Because whenever I can talk to people, it's like I know I'll never see them again.
Ah, like this.
If that makes sense. Yeah, like this, I'm very comfortable.
Great. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. I'm not a professional, but I think that's normal. So that's good that you've identified that. I think that's a really big step.
Yeah.
So now, if you know that it's just nerves, maybe you can take some proactive steps towards overcoming those nerves. Like maybe seeing it like I know a lot of people they're scared of heights and they're scared of skydiving and something like that, so they never do it. Maybe do you think that you're capable of pushing yourself, like setting challenges or goals for yourself to overcome that at least once and see if you can make one connection and just force yourself to do it? Or do you think that sounds impossible without some extra help?
it definitely doesn't seem impossible, but it kind of seems like one of those things that I'll do it and then afterwards I'll be like, I guess I can't talk to them anymore. Like,
Right. Because I get
it's
it.
like
I'm
I
in,
like,
I'm fairly introverted too, so I get it. And I've had to uh, deal with this kind of stuff sometimes where I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say to someone. Is that it for you? Where it's like you don't know what you would say?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know how to start, like what I'd even start with.
right. Well, I think that if you could find people that have a common interest with you, even if it's something really simple like you both like the same game or something, or the same TV show, these can be great launching pads for new relationships. As simple as they are, you can, um, find someone you have something small in common with, and then next thing you know, there's 20 things that you have in common, and so, I know that it doesn't sound like I'm as much of an introvert as you are, but I know that I've come across things over the years from experts talking about that and about how you can try to identify one small thing that you have in common with someone and start from there, and talk yourself out of all the big heady stuff that goes on when you're trying to talk to someone for the first time. How does that sound to you? Does that sound like something you could do?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think of it like practically, like
Mm-hmm.
who and where, but
Mm-hmm. Doesn't sound like there's a shortage of people, right? Doesn't sound like there's a shortage of people around you. It sounds like there's people around you, but you're just trying to figure out how to connect with them. Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah, maybe start with a easy movie or something that everybody loves, or video game, or I was gonna say history because it sounded like you were maybe this like closet history buff as I was talking to you, but I guess I was off on that one.
No.
But there's tons of little things. Maybe it's that you're in your head about. Do you think it could be that you're in your head about like how big of an endeavor it actually is? And I'm not trying to diminish what you're going through, your personal experience, because I know that what goes on inside someone's how someone feels about something can be much different than what they're actually going through. Sometimes it can be, a really grandiose experience, and it's actually this really simple thing. And if that's what's going on, I'm not trying to diminish that because that's very real, I believe. But if it's if there's no shortage of people around you, then is it possible that you're just psyching yourself up and getting in your own way about it? Maybe you're making it more complicated than it actually is somehow in your head.
Yeah, I think that's like for sure what it is. I'm making when I'm around people I am comfortable with, like family members. I don't have this at all. Like I can talk very normally. I can make jokes and like be funny and outgoing. It's just I don't know like how to start relationships, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like you're feeling a lot of anxiety around it, and
yeah.
And maybe it's that you just really want it. I mean, you told me I was the first person you talked to in 4 days, so maybe it's that your brain is really thirsty for that connection with people, and each day it can get harder the longer you go without that, and so maybe this is something that's really important. I've only talked to you for about 10 minutes here, or 12 minutes, so I don't know exactly, I don't know precisely what you're going through, but from what I'm hearing, I want to encourage you to take steps to see this as something simpler and try to simplify it in your head, and try to maybe start with some very simple steps, one or two steps that you can take towards one new connection instead of maybe thinking about how lonely you are. Do you think that you could separate that feeling of loneliness from some simple steps in your head that you could work towards making? Do you think you could do that?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Do you have help? Do you have a therapist or counselor that you can have assist you with this regularly?
Not like really. There's like my college has like the free stuff, but it like sucks and
Yeah,
the wait list is insane.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's. Can you afford a counselor? Can you afford a private one?
I've never really looked into it. But I'm probably not, to be honest. But I'm
Mm,
only 20, so.
right. Sometimes your health insurance will cover it. Do you have health insurance?
Yeah, I do, but my parents are like against therapy and all that.
Oh, wow. So you got your parents working against you, kind of.
Yeah.
They don't want you to get therapy.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
That's also a big common problem with boomers. Sorry, boomers. I'm not singling you out, but it's true. Um, man, I'm really sorry to hear all this. It sounds like you're going through a lot. I want you to know that you're not alone, and that you sound like a genuine guy that could go out there and make lots of friends. I mean, I've just been sitting here talking to you for almost 15 minutes now, and I feel so many things for you. So I know that there's people out there that would be in the same room with you and would feel those things too from hearing you talk. So I just want to encourage you that you've made absolute sense to me tonight, and that I know this is possible for you. I don't have any doubt. And I hope you can get the courage to take some initial steps towards meeting one person, and make it reduce the scope of the problem in your head next time you're in that situation where you're thinking, maybe I'm going to talk to this person, and maybe thinking about what it is you have to offer. Everybody has something they can offer to a relationship, so maybe it's in figuring out how to package your value as a person in the context of a relationship. But yeah, how does that all sound? What does that sound like to you when I say that? Does that make sense, or does that feel like unhelpful feedback?
That last part makes a lot of sense, actually.
Okay,
Thank you also for saying that.
good.
But
Well, I'm so glad you felt comfortable
yeah,
calling in tonight and sharing in this way. And if you ever want to call back again and talk more about this, or give an update, please do.
okay. Thank you very much.
All right, take care of yourself. Okay. So I'm going to have to find a faster way to do this, but I'm just turning on the phone system on Do Not Disturb from my computer here in between calls. So we are now available, and we're taking the next caller. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hi, what would you like to talk about tonight?
I'm sorry, I just can't believe you actually picked up. My problem might seem kind of minuscule compared to the other callers, but I don't know. I'm in my second semester of college, and I really only had one friend that I can rely on. In high school, I had 6 or 7 people, and after we graduated in the summer, I was just it felt like I was always the one that was reaching out. And then I kind of told myself, I was like, oh, what if I stopped reaching out? And I stopped, and our relationship ended. I was like, wow, it was one-sided.
How long has this been going on?
I probably haven't talked to them since June. And this one friend that I have lives an hour away, so I see her every other weekend.
I see. Were you listening to the last call while you were calling in? Did you hear the last caller?
I did, so I'm pretty similar to him.
No, it's okay. I'm just curious if that was insightful for you at all, or if there's is it the same thing you're going through? Is it is it a shortage of people? Is it that you feel anxiety around making new relationships, or is it that there's a shortage of people around you?
I don't know that it's a shortage. I feel like I'm really different. I feel like everybody has this one thing about them. I don't know how to describe it.
You feel different. Have you had any kind of evaluation with a psychologist, or maybe you are different? I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean most people are different. Most people have something that makes them different, and some of those things are things that can be identified through a psychologist, and that information can help you. It doesn't make you broken. It doesn't mean you're broken to get something from a psychologist like that. I think a lot of people do see it that way, but yeah, your silence makes me think you haven't done that, or that scares you or something. What are you thinking when I say that? Hello?
I've never tried it.
Oh, okay, you're there.
I don't know that it would be for me.
Okay. Don't think that therapy would be for you, or don't think that you need an evaluation?
I don't think that therapy would be for me. It just seems like something that's so I don't know.
What do you think this is?
I think of sitting on a couch.
Not that I'm a therapist.
Person.
Therapy's just talking to someone, you know. And with therapy specifically, that umbrella, you're paying for somebody who has certain credentials and can help all kinds of different people. Is it that you see it as a weakness?
No, I just don't know if I quite frankly believe in it.
Oh, interesting. What don't you believe in about counseling?
I don't know.
But it sounds like you appreciate a listening ear. Otherwise, you wouldn't be calling in to me, a complete stranger. And sounds like you appreciate feedback, again, because you're calling me a complete stranger. So help me understand in your mind, what's the difference between a phone call like this? Of course, I'm not a therapist, so there's a huge difference. But what's the difference between me as a stranger, as a sounding board, or a listening ear, versus somebody who's studied that art for 8-10 years?
Well, you specifically, I've watched you on YouTube for the past decade. And I feel like I would actually prefer to talk to my friend about it.
Yeah, good. If you got friends that, Okay, so yeah, we gotten a little off track, but I was just trying to, you said that, and I wanted to understand, and I feel like I get it now. So you are feeling anxious about meeting new people, or is it that maybe you were so tight with these people in high school, your high school friends, and that now you're off in college and you're so far from those people that it just feels lonely because those people aren't around anymore? Is it one of those?
Yes, I think the right way to put it is friendships came so naturally to me, and then suddenly they were all gone. And I just had nobody to talk to.
I know during the pandemic too, it's been a really rough time. I don't know if you've considered that, but right now it's a large reason I'm doing this show is right now there's just so many people who don't have people to talk to. Everything's so divided. It's getting so divided. People are forgetting how to appreciate differences in people, and I hate that. I think that's horrible and terrifying. And you sound like a really sweet person. You sound like somebody who really cares about that kind of connection with someone. And what do you think would help? What do you think would help you? And what would be some practical next steps? You tell me. What would be some practical next steps for you to meet someone tomorrow, a new friend that you could start building with? It won't be the same as it was with your old friends, of course, that you have history with. And those people will always still be in your life, probably, unless you pissed them off and they're like left you, which it doesn't sound like that's what happened. This sounds like a very normal thing that people go through with college and stuff like that. So it makes me wonder, what do you think you could do as a baby step tomorrow to make a new friend?
I already have a few people that I are acquaintances with. I guess I could just ask them to do something with me, or we're on campus together, go get something, do something.
Yeah, that sounds great. Are there cool things to do in your town? Don't tell me where you are.
No, not really.
Maybe it's a location problem. Maybe you should move. Where did your friends move? Maybe move there. These are jokes.
Yeah, maybe I should move.
Yeah. So do you have people in mind you can approach tomorrow with this? Somebody that you've felt like could be a good friend to you that maybe you just haven't approached yet? Does someone come to mind when I say that?
I think I do. I have one person, maybe two.
Okay. What are you going to tell them tomorrow? Or what are you going to ask them?
I'll probably one of them is like a coffee addict, so I'll probably just offer her to get her coffee, and she'll definitely say it.
Great. That's a great idea. There you go. See, you don't need me. You don't need therapy. You don't even need therapy. You just needed to talk to someone.
I don't know if I go that far.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, that sounds great. Why don't you try that tomorrow and then call back if you run into any more issues.
Okay. I really like that.
Was this helpful? Is there anything else?
No. I do want to tell you that I really want to hear you sing Eat Randy at some point.
You already did. It's on the internet. And with that, you're toast. Next caller. Don't bring up Neat Randy and stuff like that. That's not what this is about. I wouldn't have hung up if we were in the middle of a real conversation, but it sounded like we had finished it. Okay. Next one. Here we go. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Oh my God. Okay. Hi.
Hi. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I don't know if this is like really something you'd be interested in talking about, but I'm a trans guy and I have been stealth, which is no one knows I'm trans. At my workplace until my most recent job.
Maybe I might have missed an important piece of information. I heard you say you're trans, and I missed something between that and your workplace. Can you backtrack a little bit? I apologize.
No, it's okay. So I've been stealth at both of my other jobs that I've worked at, which means no one there knew I was trans, right?
I see. You weren't out yet.
But yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Got it.
But now I just felt like I was hiding a big part of myself, so I decided to kind of like be more open about it, you know? But that has brought me some problems because I live in a small kind of hick town, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And people aren't the kindest to me.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's a real problem.
Yeah, and I just like don't know how to deal with it because in high school I was always friends with like the LGBT community, and I kind of like separated myself from everyone else.
You got insulated within that community. You insulated yourself from the outside world, maybe because it felt dangerous or something or threatening.
Yes, exactly.
Right, got it.
And I've always seen on the internet people complaining about how scary like transphobia can be, but it's something I never had to deal with before now. And it's just taken me completely off guard because I didn't really expect it to be real, you know? Like,
So did you move or something? Sounds like this this transphobia issue came out of nowhere. Like were there new people introduced to the mix, or was it you moved or something?
Yeah, I've always kind of been bouncing around from city to city, and I did move to like a really conservative area.
Can you move somewhere else? I don't want to keep recommending that to callers, but
yeah, I mean I would, but like I can't right now, unfortunately.
I get that. Yeah.
Well, but like
I hate that you're going through a season of your life where you're feeling resistance and I mean, are these people are they? It, I don't want to ask this insensitively. I was going to ask,
No.
is anything happening? Like, of course, there's something happening. But like, are you in danger, or is this like people just say things and you're gonna lose your job, or like what's going on?
No. Fortunately, I work with a company that's pretty progressive in that area. So,
Okay.
like, I'm in no physical danger. It's just being harassed is not very fun.
What happens
And
when
I
you're
have people
harassed,
ask.
if you don't mind sharing?
Oh yeah. I just get asked all of these questions. Like this guy who didn't know, he's like, "What surgeries have you had? Like, what's in your pants? Can you get pregnant?" And I'm like, first of all, Google is free, and second of all, I'm literally at work right now. I'm not trying to like. If you're the only people who need to know that about me are people who are interested in hooking up with me. You know, like
Right. So you're
and
getting people just asking inappropriate questions and stuff. Nobody's hurting you physically. I mean, obviously, people can hurt with words. So I'm not trying to be
yeah,
insensitive, but people are just being rude.
yeah.
Is it
Because
stomachable? Is it something that,
so
or is it so pervasive and everywhere that you just can't avoid it, and it's like affecting your mental health, or? Uh,
oh yeah, definitely. It's literally everywhere. People, even gay men who I thought would be like cool because they're like in the community are like not even any different from anybody else. You know, and it does take a toll on me because I'm like an outcast basically. No one, I don't know any other trans people, and I just feel like alienated and like I have no one to talk to that like actually gets it, which sucks, you know.
right. You don't have anybody you can talk to that gets it? Are you the only trans person in your community, or that you know, or do you have any kind of
I mean,
community around you that you can confide in?
not in real life, really. Like
Did you
on the
ever?
internet, but that's different.
Sounds like maybe you did in high school, but not now. Is that the case?
Yeah, I did go to a smaller high school with a lot of other people who couldn't go to the bigger high schools because of depression and anxiety and whatnot, and a large population of that school was LGBT. Um, and so it was kind of like protected from the real world in a way.
I see. Are you depressed? Is this affecting you? And uh,
Yeah, it does a lot. It's not like the only source. Like I've kind of had a crazy life so far, but like it definitely is a big old part of it.
right. You have a counselor? Have you had counseling?
I mean, I have like since I was 12 years old, probably to 16, 17 years old, but then I moved out of my mom's house and I'm broke, so it's like I don't have insurance.
Right.
It's expensive, man. It's so
Yeah, it's
expensive.
expensive. Therapy ain't cheap.
Yeah,
Um,
true that.
yeah. Well, I'm not sure what it is you're looking for, but it seems like you just need some support, and you need some good people around you that appreciate you and don't judge you. And
Yeah.
um, do people come to mind when I say that uh, seem like people you might be able to build better relationships with, or are you just completely isolated there where you are?
I mean, right now I'm living with my grandmother.
How's your
And
grandma feel about you being
she,
trans?
I mean, she's cool with it. She doesn't really get it. Like, she still calls me by the wrong name. I've been on hormones for 3 years. I've been transitioning since I was 14 years old. You know, like
Wow,
it's nothing new. It's just uh,
I see.
different. You're growing up in different times. You know.
Your grandma seems pretty hip.
Oh, she's awesome. I love her so much.
Seems like she doesn't fully get it, but she gets what she doesn't get
She's
at least.
trying.
Yeah, she's trying. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the main thing that I just wish was different is I wish people would like listen to trans people and anybody in the community when they say what you're doing literally affects their life, and it does not affect their life in any way. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting to hear you say that. What are some other things that you wish people knew about that people just don't get?
Well, okay, so an example I can think of is there's these bills in all these different states right now trying to get passed about, it's illegal now for a minor to start transitioning. It's considered child abuse. When literally, if I did not transition at the age I did transition, I would not be alive today. 100%. I would be 6 feet underground right now.
You're just
And the
miserable as a
people who are
child, it
like,
sounds like.
yeah, don't let these kids transition. They don't, like, how does it doesn't affect them in any way. They might be a little confused, but they can get over it.
Mm. Wow. That's a dense issue that you're facing.
Yeah, and it's like so much deeper than a lot of people realize. It's literally my whole entire life.
Right. So you're not suicidal now, I take it. It sounds like you're pretty much happy, except for you're just a little lonely.
Yeah, I'm the happiest I've been in a really long time.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I have a trans nephew.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that. Well, what would you do tomorrow? What's a simple step you can take tomorrow to improve that your relational life? What's one person? Do you know one person you can approach, or is there one simple step you can take? Maybe it's a forum online. It sounds like you're already on those, but is there a way you can parlay those tools into an IRL relationship? Because that's obviously it's a lot different. It sounds like that being in person with someone, a physical relationship, than just text on a screen. What step can you take tomorrow that you can think of to a simple step that's achievable tomorrow? What can you do tomorrow?
I guess I could look around. There's like great resources online that like tells you about the LGBT areas in your state and city and whatever. So I guess I can take a look at that and see if there's like any meetings or anything.
That's a good idea. A support group may be a good idea, actually. That might be a great idea. I don't know if that's what you meant by meetings, but a support group could be a great way to meet some people who get it, who get what you're going through. I mean, even I don't know what you're going through. I have some experience with it through friends and family who are trans that I know, but I'm not trans, so I don't know what you're going through. But it seems like a support group would be great if you can find one near you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for calling in. I want to hear from you again if you're still dealing with this in the future.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Thanks for calling. Good night. All right. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Oh, hey, you picked up.
Hello. I did.
Yeah. So, what do I want to talk about? That's the question, huh?
That's the question. No
So,
personal details, please.
Currently in a long distance thing, right? With plans to move in a couple months. And I suppose I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety over that. Just the whole leaving the hometown situation. To go 1,000+ miles away, to go like to the adulthood thing, live a new life.
You sound like you must be a young adult. Is that right? 18, 19, 20?
Yeah, 20.
20, okay.
20.
Never moved away from home, I guess.
21 in a few days. Yeah, no. Still with the parents.
Yeah, you're going on the big adventure. About to get pushed out of the nest.
Yeah.
You going somewhere where you're going to be supported? You have stuff lined up to do, or is it a gamble, or what's the deal?
It's more of a gamble than I'd like. So I'm in the film industry, and I've got like a job interview lined up. But other than that, I'm kind of going off one interview.
Wow, that's pretty bold.
Shooter. So
pretty bold. Yeah. Well, the anxiety makes sense. I mean, you have a backup plan?
Well, my father's in the same industry. I'm booked for some stuff where I'm living currently still throughout the year. My resume is ridiculous for a 20-year-old in the film industry. Not to be like egotistical about that or anything, but
So maybe you'll be fine.
hopefully. It's
Your
the
dad's in the
working theory,
business?
right?
Your dad's got hookups?
He's got hookups here in the South, a few. He's actually got me booked for some travel work, but I'm kind of like my main fallback. If anything, I can work in a warehouse if need be. It's just the feeling of like
That's
needing
the
to
spirit.
support the partner, and because he's got health issues, his father too, who's living in the house. Kind of the main reason I'm going up there instead of him coming here is dad's kind of a stubborn old man, and his dad is a stubborn old man. It doesn't want to leave.
Runs in the family, sounds like.
hometown.
Look out, man. You're next.
Yeah, I'm next. I got to be the stubborn one, right?
You can be the crotchety old man. Yeah, well, man, I wish you the best on your adventures. Yeah, I think it's probably understandable the amount of anxiety you're feeling. Your whole world's about to change. But sounds like you've done your homework. Sounds like you've got good connections and good things lined up, and it sounds like you've also got a great work ethic, supporting all that, so that if Plan A fails, it sounds like you're the kind of guy that's just going to get it done no matter what. And that's awesome to hear. I love hearing from people like you.
I appreciate that input.
Excellent. Well,
It makes me feel like I might be doing something right.
good. Well, you got to follow your dreams. They don't always work, but you got to follow them. And sometimes they bring us to these weird alternate realities that we didn't even know existed. So it's all an adventure.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're up for it. I love it. Love to hear it. All right, I'm going to take the next caller, but thanks for calling in. Update us on your progress.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hello, Julian. This is Julian.
This is Julian.
Hi. That's cool. Thank you for answering the call. I actually watched the stream yesterday, and I prepared kind of like a short description if you wanted for my problem. I guess I phrased it that way.
Great. Yeah, we're going to loosen it up a little
yeah.
bit more tonight. I was doing 12 seconds yesterday, but it just felt a little too fast. I was preparing to fend off a bunch of trolls, and that was my plan. But
Yeah.
we're loosening it up a bit.
Yeah,
The trolls haven't been
watched
so
the
bad
whole
tonight.
thing, so I
Great.
saw some of that. But yeah. But I think it actually gave me an opportunity to really think through like what my issue is and kind of like really clear up like what is really going on for me. But I'll just get into it. I guess like the problem is I can't cultivate a relationship with my mother because every time I try, I get burnt basically. I've been hurting more and more as the thought looms that it will never work. Less than a week ago, I got a year lease on a house and moved out. I fear not only my relationship with her never working out, but I also fear continuing the trend of underhanded disdain that kind of exists in my family.
So your mom is unsupportive. You don't have a nurturing, supporting mother. Is that right?
Well, she acts like it's kind of like the whole the path to hell is paved with good intentions. She says that she cares and all these things, but a lot of the time she's more hurting me in ways that she doesn't notice or understand or realize.
I see.
So I think there's like a self-awareness trend in my family that runs. People aren't really self-aware of what they're doing, their impact, and they don't really care sometimes even because they're very, focused on themselves. And if people are in the way, then it matters. But if people aren't in the way, then they just kind of stick to their own thing and just kind of,
You said you just moved out. It sounded like you said you moved out of your mom's house recently. Are you in your early 20s? You sound older than that. I was going to think you were in your 30s or something.
26.
You're 26, okay.
26.
So you recently...
I've moved out before.
I see.
But it just didn't stick because I just really needed to get out. I needed to kind of make distance from my mom because she was very kind of controlling and overbearing, and I was very sheltered early on in my life.
Is she abusive?
She's used belts to discipline me. I was learning music. I grew
She
up
spanked
in a
you with a
family of
belt
3
when you were
generations
growing
of
up.
musicians.
Did I hear that right?
Well, not as an adult, but like a little younger.
Right.
Yeah, during high school, younger years.
Right. Yeah, as soon as you're 18, that stuff becomes battery.
Yeah.
Actually, not sure that's true, but it probably is. Sorry, I don't mean to joke about that. I was also spanked as a kid, so you're in good company.
I love humor, so
yeah.
all good with me.
So
I forgot sometimes.
So your mom, I mean, in my book, like spanking, I don't spank my kids, but spanking to me isn't considered abuse. I mean, it depends on the definition of spanking. Some people just get, a little swat on the butt, and that's like what a spank is to some families. And then other families, it's like beatings. And so to me, there's like a clear distinction between spanking and abuse, even though I don't believe in spanking and I don't spank my kids. But I'm trying to understand what kind of situation you grew up in, because it sounds like your relationship with your mom is at an impasse, and you're in your late 20s now, late 20s. So makes me wonder what your childhood was like.
Yeah, childhood's kind of long story short.
You said you were
I
sheltered.
was bullied during my younger years, elementary school. Sorry, what?
Sorry, there's a lag, and I'm trying to tell you that I did track with some of the stuff you said. You said you were sheltered and that you were spanked as a kid, so I know those things. And please carry on.
Yeah, and I guess maybe like the thing that was messed up about it was I was bullied in elementary school, which it was a school at an embassy basically. And the way it worked is people that went to the school usually had parents working at the embassy, and so basically the higher up your parents are that work at the embassy, the longer you get to be at the school, and you just like more important you are. So the kids are basically untouchable. The more their parents were like more important at the embassy, and my mom wanted me to study at the embassy because it was like a Russian method, and basically the teachers, whenever I was being bullied, they couldn't do anything, and so I just felt completely like the people and authorities that are supposed to protect me were I just felt really betrayed, and I felt really afraid of that. I think that's like when I was looking and thinking about how to call you today, I was thinking about like how to summarize. I think that's really where it's incented a lot of my mistrust. And then, my mom beating me, of course. Well, it wasn't really beating me, but it was like belt to like force me to practice and things like that. Was definitely probably not good either.
Right. So she would enforce what she wanted through whippings.
Yeah.
And she didn't, and you didn't feel protected by her as a parent.
Yeah. I think it later moved on to her being like, nowadays she's more manipulative through like having strings attached kind of thing. There's always strings attached to everything. So anytime the reason I talk about being burnt when I try to build a relationship with her is she'll use things that we do and things that she knows about me and what I'm doing, where I live, and information about what I like or don't like, kind of for later she pockets it and uses it against me, or gets involved in things, uses that way to manipulate spending time with me when I don't want to, or make me do things I don't want to, or just any way to kind of,
Wow. Could she?
That just makes it toxic,
Could she be borderline? BPD? Have you looked into that?
I think she has narcissistic tendencies. I think she just isn't like one of the things I've definitely realized over the time of I've spent a lot of time on working on myself with therapy and whatever.
Good.
I've done a lot of that and a lot of thinking about psychology, learning about behavior and why am I the way I am, so I could maybe understand how she is and why she is the way she is.
Wow.
But I guess like the main thing is like I think when she speaks, the reason that it's difficult to talk is because when she talks from her feelings. She's just expressing and venting her feelings. Like what she's saying isn't really what she's meaning. She's not thinking about it logically at all. And I'm a very like logic-based person, so it's like the worst. It's like an impasse conversation, definitely.
Right.
So it's like makes it very tricky to set boundaries. It makes it very tricky to establish rules that make us agree on facts. And she has kind of also what did I write down here? Like selective memory kind of thing of like what she. So basically, things like because of the strings attached and because of the power dynamic when I was growing up with her, conversations were just talk. She didn't really care about what I had to say, and she didn't take me seriously because in the end she can always pull a string to get her way if things start if I start wanting her to change her behavior around me to better our relationship, she would just be like, if I don't want to do that, I don't have to. It doesn't matter what we talk about. And so that made her not really care about what we talk about and then not remember anything we talk about because, well, she needs to remember any of that.
Right. Makes me think of that Steve Jobs book. I'm not sure if you've read that biography by Walter Isaacson, but they talk about his reality distortion field. Have you heard that term before? It makes me think of that. Yeah, it's like some and I know that
Is
other.
it like a cognitive dissonance kind of thing, or like a what?
No, it's like it's a thing that sociopaths do, where they reinvent history through just exactly what you just said. Like they change facts, and it's like they actually. The worst part is these types of people actually believe that this is how things happened. Like they spend so long convincing themselves that that the thing that actually happened didn't happen, and it was actually these things happened this way. And
because they can't stand like the world them being wrong. They just that's not an option. It has to be anything but and everything changes and bends to approve of like what they're doing.
And you seem like a really sweet guy. You seem like you've done a lot of work to try to understand yourself. So it sounds like the large reason you did a lot of that work was so that you could understand your mom. Breaks my heart. That's. I mean, you've done that work for your mom. That's serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I knew it would help me too, because I mean, genetics too. I'm sure that's the other worry. I guess like the big fear is like, I definitely did a lot of work, and it was for her, but it was for me as well, I guess, to understand myself. But the main worry, I guess, is like, what's the real problem now? Is like, how do I avoid not, like getting into the same traps that she did with the self-awareness, not seeing what I'm doing, my impact of what I'm doing, kind of thing, and like making sure that I don't, do the same thing she did to me, even accidentally or something, like manipulate something into hurting her back for hurting me or something. Like, how do I kind of make peace with things like that? And just maybe that's like what I'm thinking about nowadays. Is like now that I have the autonomy of living apart, it's kind of like now I have to actually think about what do I actually want to do with that. Now that I have the power to choose what I do, it's no longer like, I'm just under her thumb and I'm just trying to fend off whatever and just get day to day. Now I actually have agency. Like something I was thinking about is like now that I have agency and she acts on impulse and I am like thinking everything through, in a way, it's almost like this fucked up situation where I have like direct influence over what she does because she's kind of just doing this straight line of how she behaves, but I get to make choices.
Right.
So it's almost like.
But there's no controlling someone like that.
To just fuck her over in a way, emotionally, but I also don't want to like hurt myself by just letting her do whatever she wants.
Right. Well, I'm curious if do you have a counselor? Do you have a counselor that is aware of these problems and is helping coach you through tactics that can make the best kind of relationship with your mom possible?
I did a lot of counseling already over the years.
About
I think
this
I'm pretty
issue?
well equipped to think about things, but I'm not seeing anyone currently.
I see, yeah.
But my girlfriend, I have friends that know me and do support me. I do have a small group. It's not large. I wish it was bigger, but it's a small group, and I do trust them. And my girlfriend is very good. She's actually in behavioral therapy, so she's very good at it, being able to understand and explain things. Even though some of those things come more naturally for her, Like sometimes are more instinctual for her. I'm just like I kind of try to adapt and learn.
Right. Well, sometimes a relationship with a sociopath is not possible, sadly, because they do have these tendencies to make things up and insist that, on revisionist histories and things like that. And it's really unfortunate when you see that happen. It sounds like you're still in the part of your relationship where you're trying to find ways. It sounds like you're still trying to determine if any kind of relationship is possible. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't completely cut her out or anything like that.
I haven't cut her out. We still do like things music wise, like maybe like not performances, but some kind of projects on and off.
You work together.
And yeah, we worked together before, and we kind of work together now. She has like her own project thing that she's doing, and she was kind of like, oh, I can kind of like hire you, and so I've been doing like hourly for some things to help her with her musical project. It's not like personally invested in it, and I can use the money.
How does that complicate your relationship with her, or does it?
Well, I feel like being in like arts and yourself as well, like in being in just, any business like that's entertainment, you kind of you already have the mindset of dividing personal and non-personal while also doing things that can be perceived as personal. So like this kind of work isn't really personal to me, and I know how to separate that, I guess. But yeah, it does kind of have the danger line of being not healthy.
Right.
So I'm willing to just dip out if I have to.
I wish, I don't know what kind of work you've done, so I'm not preaching to you, but I just hearing you talk, it makes me wish that you were getting counseling now for these kinds of questions you're asking now, because the stuff the decisions you're talking about making are very serious decisions, and you don't want to make any of them quickly. I know you. I know you don't. I'm not saying I get the vibe you're trying to just cut your mom off. But I do feel like Dr. Ramani Deversala has a great series of books on relationships with sociopaths. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She's amazing. She's she's got to be one of the world's leading experts on sociopaths. Are you familiar with her, Dr. Ramani?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so.
Highly recommend you check her out. She's got a bunch of books and a YouTube channel even, and a bunch of free stuff you can watch on YouTube. Excellent for anyone who has a narcissist or a borderline personality disorder sufferer in their life. That's a conundrum that a lot of people don't know how to deal with, and a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people. What I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of people who go through those kinds of things, and nobody knows what they're going through because it's so rare. And I feel for you. That's hard.
Thanks, Julian. Yeah. I mean, the main, I think, thing concerning me now is like making sure I don't not notice myself become that thing, because it's hard to, like, if you are that problem, like, you can't use a broken tool to fix, like, if you're fixing yourself, well, I guess that's what you're saying, like, kind of psychologist or like a friend group.
Well, you don't strike me as a narcissist. You don't strike me as a sociopath. You don't sound like a sociopath. You're asking too many empathetic questions. You're asking, you went to therapy trying to figure out who you are and to understand yourself so you could better understand your mom. A sociopath doesn't do that. A sociopath can't do that. And that's not
right. I remember from yesterday, and that's true. Therapists do say that the sociopath wouldn't ask, or narcissist wouldn't ask, "Am I the problem?" Because they just don't censor that at all.
So at least go easy on yourself with that stuff. I mean, I hope you cut yourself a break with at least that stuff, because the last thing you need to be doing is carrying guilt for ways you might have impacted that relationship. When I mean, everyone impacts every relationship they have. That's why it's a relationship, because everyone's relating to each other. But you know, you're asking very empathetic questions. You don't strike me as a sociopath. Especially if you've been in years of counseling. Sociopaths don't go to counseling. You know, it's actually a great joke among psychologists. They say that, you know, it's crazy that there are no narcissists. We've never identified a single narcissist because they won't come get tested. So,
That's pretty good.
so the only people getting tested are not narcissists.
It's like the research for flat Earth. There isn't any.
Right, exactly.
That's really clever.
Well, I'm so glad that you called in. It's encouraging for me to hear from people like you as well, because I've gone through very similar journey in my life with narcissists and sociopaths in my life, and it helps me to hear from people like you. So I thank you for sharing, and it did me good to hear your story. And yeah, also. This is Dr. Ramani's work that I'm reporting here, obviously, but she says that 1 in 7 people are a sociopath. That's 15% of people globally. So there's a lot of them out there. It's not nothing. There's a lot of them out there. These are people that, you know, we walk by every day, and you don't sound like one to me. So I hope that gives you.
I really appreciate that. It's very encouraging. I've worked pretty hard to fight against that, because I know genetics can be really rough to kind of to change like your own behavior against what may be nature, and kind of like cultivate your own way that you want to be.
Right.
And I think like another thing is like what I really loved about your. I know you meaning this isn't really about your content, but I know that I've connected really heavily with your videos because they're so well demonstrating someone who's completely self-absorbed in their own way of thinking, or their own like they're so like beamlined into something, and it's just really the human that you create from that, and it was just amazing, and I really connected with them growing up. I remember just your commitment to the comedy was so inspiring and empowering.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for calling in tonight, and please call in again to update us on how things are going. If you're running into more problems, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Take care.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was great.
All right, guys. I'm not done yet. How's the chat feeling? How we feeling in the chat? How we feeling, chat? Here's looking at you. Julian Pog. What's Julian Pog? Maybe that's my new crypto coin. Julian Pog. Okay, great. So I'm going to turn the phones back on. We'll take a few more calls. It's getting close to midnight, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Here we go. Hello, thanks for calling.
Oh, did I get through? Wow.
Hello.
Hi.
What would you like to talk about?
I don't know where to start, really. I kind of wanted to talk about my brother. He's dealing with a lot, like, mentally, and I don't really know, like, how he's gonna get through with it, because he's thinking about committing suicide, and he wants to be homeless or something like that, because he can't deal with what society has done to him. He blames our mom about stuff, and I don't know, I'm really worried about him. I don't know what's gonna happen.
What has society done to your brother? What does he say society's done?
He's saying that he's been bullied and nobody takes him seriously. He wants to start a community. Like he just can't find a job, even though he's been to college for 4 years and has a bachelor. he can't find a job and he can't be happy, and he feels like society has just like done him wrong, that um, he just can't sustain himself, and he won't be normal until he finds like a house or a shelter or something like that.
Is your brother healthy? Does he have something going on neurologically or something?
That's what I think. I think he's on the spectrum. I don't know what it is, but you know, he's a topic of conversation most of the time because my family's always worried he's gonna kill himself at some point, and you know, it's gonna break the family.
Right.
You know, I'm okay. You know, I'm not saying I'm okay with it, but I'm used to death. It wouldn't really break me to a point because I know he might be better, you know, if he, you know, I don't know, honestly.
You're questioning whether he can
It's a
get better,
big
it sounds
thing
like.
for the family. Sorry.
Sounds like you're questioning whether he can get better.
Yeah.
Right. Has he threatened suicide?
Yeah.
More than once?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, huh?
He'll send these long paragraphs of, you know, just I don't think I should be living anymore.
Is he a black sheep of the family or something?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, there's a bit of a lag here. Were you saying something?
No, you know, this is a big conversation to have, and you know, I was really just gonna talk about what I was going through, but you know, and to put this onto you, it feels like, you know, you're not like a licensed therapist or anything, and
correct.
You know, it seems like it's a bit much. You know, this is like a bigger conversation for somebody who's licensed to deal with something like this, but
of course,
you know, I feel like it's affecting me in a way, so I feel like I'm kind of talking about myself, sort of, because I don't have any tendencies for suicide or anything like that, but you know, it makes me worry about him, and it affects the family and how the family would be affected and how it would affect me in the end.
Well, just to be very clear, in case anybody's confused, this is not a substitute for therapy. This is not therapy. This is a place where people can just call and be heard about anything. This is more anonymous than therapy because I don't know who you are. I don't need your credit card information. I don't need your name. I don't need your address. This is just a unique place where people can call in and talk about anything. So I'm not pretending this is therapy. At the same time, we will, I hope that this will turn into a community of people that can support each other with useful information, and that things you're going through might help listeners, because you know, a lot of people are going through similar things, and a lot of people are going through difficult things right now. So just to get that out of the way, that's the purpose of this, not to substitute for therapy, because if you're dealing with somebody who might be sick in the head, you know, sometimes that's a years-long counseling relationship. Is one of the only things that can fix that. You know, a phone call with somebody for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour even isn't going to fix the full extent of that problem. So, but sounds like you're all right. Is your family all right?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm gonna go see the UFC fight in Jacksonville, so with my boys, and that's gonna be fun. But you know, it's so hard for me to think about having fun when my brother is going through so much. And you know, I love him so much. You know, he's my older brother.
Right.
I'm 26. He's 27. You know, I love him to death. You know, it's just it's so hard to deal with him. Like, just to have a conversation with him is exhausting. The way he's affecting our family with his own rhetoric it's toxic. It's poisonous in a way, because they love him so much and they want him to get better and they want to listen to him, but he's so negative, and any kind of positivity that we show him, it just doesn't go through to him. He just doesn't want to listen. He's stuck in his own ways, and he's like, no, 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 this is the way it's supposed to be, so I'm just going to end it.
Yeah, if he's threatening suicide in long paragraphs, and if he's raising stinks about things, and he's pessimistic, that doesn't sound like someone on the spectrum to my ear. That sounds like another sociopath. It sounds like maybe somebody who's suffering from some kind of because a lot of people on the spectrum are really cheerful and happy, and some of them are curt and but if he's threatening things in long letters, have you talked with a counselor about this, about whether or not there may be hope for someone like your brother recovering and becoming self-sustaining and whatnot?
No.
Can you?
I should, yeah. No, that's a good point that you just brought
Is that
up.
in
I
the
should do
cards for
that.
you?
What?
Is that in the cards for you to do that financially and whatnot?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm on Cerebral, so I
Okay.
have my own therapist.
Okay. Would your brother is he the type of person that would go to therapy with you, you think, if you wanted to have like a brotherly therapy session?
No, he wouldn't do that. He doesn't believe in therapy. There's a lot of people who say they don't believe in therapy and need it the most, and I tell him this all the time.
It's true.
He should be looking for a therapist. I sent him my therapist. He won't go. He won't do it. I'm honestly, I don't know what else to do about it without me even, I get teary-eyed about this stuff. It's
Right.
It's something hard because it's just, I love him so much, and it's so common. Like the problems he's going through, it's such an easy thing to go through because it's like, he's so healthy. He's a good-looking kid. I just don't understand what the problem is. Maybe it's just some insecurity that he had, some past trauma.
It could be his brain too,
And that's why I bring up the spectrum thing.
Mhm.
That's why I think maybe it has some chemical deficiency.
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe if he just got on some, some people get on neurotransmitter supplements and it fixes a host of things like this. So maybe, if he would just, would he go get evaluated with a nutritionist even? Like if you paid for it or if someone in the family paid for it, would he go with you to a nutritionist to have his neurotransmitters evaluated or something?
Huh.
Because sometimes
Maybe.
just taking some GABA or, something like that can just change how a whole person's countenance is. These are just ideas. I'm spitballing here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I can talk to him about that. It's really hard to talk to him.
Right.
I guess I'll text him about it or something, but yeah, this is a big problem. I do appreciate you opening the phone lines and taking callers and listening to their problems. You might be going through your own problems. I don't know.
Everybody is.
I do appreciate you doing that.
Oh, that means a lot to me. Yeah, I think everybody's got problems. I think problems are a part of life. That's yeah. Well, I wish you the best with this journey, and I want to hear from you if this problem keeps going on. If you keep having this problem, I want to hear from you. Please call back.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I'll try. I mean, if your phone lines become more open, because I tried calling like a couple hundred times, I'm not gonna lie.
Wow, a couple hundred times. Crazy. Yeah, it's ringing off the hook.
It just goes straight to voicemail, and then it says that your voicemail is blocked and all that.
Voicemail's probably full now. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how to manage all these calls, but yeah, we're going on Do Not Disturb when we're in a call right now. So right now, all the calls are going into voicemail. But yeah, thanks again for calling, and I hope that we hear from you again soon. Would be great to hear an update.
you.
Take care.
All right.
Okay. It's midnight now, but I'm still going. I got some energy. Let's keep it going for a little bit longer. Here we go. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Hey there. Hey, so kind of I grew up in the South and I have a brother. He's bipolar and autistic.
Bipolar and autistic.
Yeah, so and it's been a more recent thing that we kind of grasped all that. So it's funny because I had autistic friends growing up, and I never really understood what was different about him. So I understood that he had like the bipolar part too. So all to say, he's struggled, going back and forth about suicidal thoughts and stuff. So that's always a rough one for the family, for sure.
How is this impacting you personally? Obviously, you have feelings for your brother, so I'm sure it devastates you. But how is this impacting you personally in your life?
Yeah. Well, I have to be a little bit careful about when I talk about about my job or anything. The nature of it, if people kind of put two and two together, it's not.
Yeah, please no
it's
details.
Not something that I can have really tied in, of course, it's anonymous. But it definitely has hampered me in several ways. I've lived a lot of my life trying to help out both my parents and my brother at the time. So, so all I have to say is, while there's been a little bit stunting for me, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's been like the worst thing or anything like that. It's been hard. It's just one of those things that you don't really see until it's more in hindsight, to a degree. And maybe I'm worried about is my parents are getting up at their age, right? He lives with them. Just with the state of which he's in, he's not able to kind of get past where he's at. So I guess I've been struggling with one thing. My parents are very emotionally tied to him. So I'm worried about what happens when they go, and that responsibility falling on my shoulders. So, he's not able usually to keep his job down for much longer than 6 to 8 months.
I see. Wow. So when your parents go, your brother will become your responsibility. Are you his only sibling?
I'm not, but I have another brother who's older, but it's just with the way my life will probably be set up, it would probably make more sense if I took care of him in some ways. It's not ideal, and I know there'd be some shared responsibility, but the nature of my job would take me away from where I'm at quite often. So that's one of the problems that I foresee. So it's just I don't know. For the record, I'm a Christian and everything, so like I trust God with this. But he's been really helpful, and kind of showing me where I didn't know. But the hardest thing for me is kind of that role, because my parents look at me in a way that they still see kind of a kid sometimes, and I'm almost 30, so. But so I've been having to parent my parents while also helping love my brother through all this.
Sounds like a lot for you.
Say what?
Sounds like a lot for you. Are you taking care of yourself in the meantime? You got a lot of weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. So.
You have time for you?
Say what?
Do you have time for you?
Yeah, I do take it. I have to.
Right.
It came to a head. The pandemic was really hard on him. He's much more of an extrovert, so that combination of bipolar, autistic, and extroversion is something else.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was really hard on him to kind of see that reduced social interaction. So.
Right.
So I would like pitch in. I went and actually lived with my parents for a while just to kind of help out, and even extended like I was paying I was paying rent somewhere else while living with them. So during that spell, so thankfully I got out of that situation because it wasn't the most healthy or helpful. I was there when I needed to be there, because the problem was he starts having psychotic breaks every once in a while too. So.
Wow. So what would be helpful for you tonight? Did you just want to get that off your chest, or is there something you want feedback on specifically, or that you'd like?
Sure. Well, two things. I wanted to encourage anyone who's struggling with people who have to care for siblings or people they love long term. One, to know that there's that a lot can still be done, and that what your efforts aren't in vain. Even if things go south in some ways. And also, I guess just thoughts on that transition between your parents going and and you helping and taking care of your siblings. So that's the thoughts I'm curious to get on for there, right there.
You want thoughts on how to best care for your brother when your parents go?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, I'm probably out of my league answering that, but I mean, I don't know what it's like to live with an autistic person. I had an autistic neighbor growing up. He was nonverbal autistic, and he was older and lived at home with his family. So I'm very much aware of that lifestyle and what that is like for families, but I've not personally lived in it. But I understand it to be a real hardship. I understand that it's that's serious commitment. And you said your brother can't hold down work, right? Is he able to hold down any kind of job, or is he does he get fired, or what happens?
Sure. It's a combination of things. He's kind of an ornery kid, to put it gently. I love him, but we all have our ticks, right? But yeah, for him, he will be extraordinarily verbal about whatever he wants to talk about, and so he has some opinions that definitely do not jive with other people very well at all, and it gets me frustrated a lot of times. So he will be insulting or saying something just not great. So he has a track record of really pissing people off, to put it gently. And so that's one thing. So anything interpersonal, he's not good at, which is always a struggle for me. We've had, I don't want to get too hard there for you. But he's usually able to hold it down for about 5 to 6 months, and then he just gets an itch to go somewhere else to do something different. And so, and it's not helpful because he also loves animals, and so he loves a dog, but he always gets the wrong type of dog, like like police dogs, that sort of thing. That's the sort of ones we want, but he has no handle on the guy. So.
Yeah, I don't know much about how this works when you're caring for someone with a disability like autism specifically, but it does make me wonder if, makes me wonder.
It's more the bipolar than the autism, because I have many autistic friends. But the bipolar with that's the layering's the problem. So,
is he on meds? Can he get medication for it?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh, you better believe he is.
He takes them?
Yeah, and so usually he's able to stabilize some of the mood with them, but even still, even still with the meds, he's extraordinarily headstrong, and he gets in a lot of trouble when he takes himself off the meds. So that's the one thing I'm kind of that's when he gets into some of the breaks that he's had since the past several years, it's usually because he takes himself off the meds.
I see.
And my job in the future would require me to be away, so I can't, and I don't really, want to ask like my future wife necessarily to, be in charge of that,
Right.
So.
Well, will your parents have any kind of fund for him after they go that you could use to hire care for him while you're traveling or something like that?
Yeah, that is a thought. That's something that's something we were actively talking about. But my worry is more isn't necessarily even financially because I will be set up fairly well. That's not the thing. It's the
More of a
human
connection
connection thing
thing.
I'm worried about.
Got it. Yeah.
Because
Will he go to therapy
that
with you? Will he go to counseling with you?
so he thankfully he has a psychiatrist and stuff, and so that's good.
Well, that's different than a counselor.
But
I mean, psychiatrists will give you
it
pills.
is
But would he go to somebody
right.
with you as like a relational counselor?
He may, yeah. There's been a couple things here and there that we've done together here and there. So,
Okay.
but that may be a good long term thing. I don't know. I'm just worried about he severs a lot of human connections, and so that's what I'm kind of worried about is that sort of thing because of the way he acts, you know. So
I can only
um,
imagine what it's like to care for someone with those conditions and disabilities. And I just want to commend you and your family for the love that you're showing your brother. And like I said, I've had friends who are autistic, and I've grown up around autistic neighbors, and I've as I've said to previous callers, I've got some experience with sociopaths in my life and people who are unstable mentally, and I can't imagine being responsible for one person that suffers from all of those things. And also makes me feel really bad for your brother. What must his life feel like? Must be really volatile.
yeah, it definitely is volatile. The one thing that really is hard to see is how much he longs to be married. So, and seeing that, it kind of breaks your heart, you know.
Wow.
He can barely, take care of himself to to have him to think they could take care of someone else too.
Right.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, I don't want to get too far afield there, but yeah, I really appreciate your time, Julian. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you calling and sharing. Thank you so much. And please call back with anything else ever, whenever. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks.
Good night. All right, guys, I'm going to turn the calls back on. Going to keep going for, I don't know, maybe another 15 minutes. I do need to run upstairs real quick, but I'm going to turn the phones back on, and I'll come right back. Take a couple more callers. I have seen from the chat, seems like some people are trying to get in that haven't been able to get in. See what happens. Coming right back. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey,
Hi there.
how's it going? Yeah, I've got a couple of things to really talk about. One of which being kind of a rough upbringing, a rough childhood, and not necessarily to do with my parents, but when I was very young, I honestly don't remember how young I was. I was molested as a child by my aunt's friend.
My goodness.
It was, yeah, it was a thing, and as was one of my younger brothers, and though me and my younger brother are mostly okay now, we have kind of a strained relationship because of it. It's kind of like a we can't be around each other for like long periods of time, because we get like very angry at each other, and it doesn't help because though I've found ways to cope with it for the most part. My little brother, he has like a hard time
coping with it. He has a couple. I don't know if he's diagnosed with it yet, but he has a couple of issues, manic, depressive, and stuff of the sort. He kind of like switches on a dime sometimes with his overall emotional stableness.
I see.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's kind of it's kind of like hard to watch him go through such a hard time and me almost being all right, living moderately well and having a pretty good job and everything. And it's kind of hard to watch him struggle. And I try to reach out and help, but it feels like every time I do, he doesn't really want to accept it. It feels like he kind of distances himself from me and the family.
So this is the same brother that was also molested when he was younger?
Yeah.
Was there some difference in your experiences that maybe he's bitter over towards you for some reason?
Yeah, there was when I forgot how old we are again. But the time period in which it happened, it was kind of, it happened over and over again, and because of the fact that it was happening over and over again, me and my little brother were kind of, we would unknowingly know, like, we didn't know what we were doing because we were like younger than like 5 or 6.
Right.
And
you didn't know the difference.
We would do stuff that we shouldn't do with each other, and I feel like that strained our relationship even more so.
Mm.
And it caused kind of like a pretty aggressive divide. And my little brother, though this has put a toll on him and has put a toll on me, it kind of, I think he already, even at that very young age, had some issues prior to that, and it feels like it kind of enhanced the overall problem with him. And it's just hard to cope with the fact that I said I've mostly dealt with it. I've kind of come to terms with it and kind of put it in the past. But with him, it kind of seems like he's just struggling to survive while I'm kind of living it up, and it's like a sense of guilt, I guess, around it.
Is this brother older or younger than you?
He's younger than me. But
okay.
Like,
and
less than 2 years.
And am I understanding what you were sharing a lot of information a second ago, so I don't want to get something wrong, but it sounded like you were saying that because you guys were so young when you were molested, that you may have been, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like you were saying that you and your brother were also intimate with each other in some way on the heels of that. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you guys were confused maybe or something. You were so young.
Yeah. It put, that's probably one of the few things that kind of left a dent on me, is because of that. I feel like it kind of left a lasting effect on my overall approach to sexual relationships and stuff like that. Not to say that I have like been unsuccessful, I guess, but it kind of, I feel like it causes a lot more anxiety than it would in a normal person, And to even get intimate with somebody, it takes like for me to feel comfortable about it, at the very least, it takes a lot of trust and a lot of time to get to know that person before I feel that kind of overall sense of guilt.
Right.
And like just hmm it was it's just kind of a hard situation all around. It's a shame because I see other people kind of talk about that or like hardships or whatever, and I always think of like kind of like a statistic. I think it's some I don't know, don't quote me on this, but it's like 1 in 3 people experience some sort of sexual abuse in their life.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of
And
people. Sounds like your case is very exceptional, noteworthy.
yeah, and it's just kind of it kind of sucks, you know. It's kind of sucks knowing that many people out there go through something as horrible as that, and it's just kind of a um yeah, I don't know. It's kind of pretty strong sense of guilt overall, and I wish I could do something better for my brother, and I wish our relationship wasn't as strained and we could talk about it more, but it seems like it's just kind of a um um an elephant in the room almost anytime we're around each other.
So you and your brother have not addressed that you guys were both molested and then intimate with each other as small kids. You guys haven't talked about that?
We've talked about it. We've talked about us being molested, and we've talked about in fact we talked to it about our we talked to it to our dad at one point, and this was like a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and it was pretty nerve wracking for my dad, and I think he ended up telling my aunt, and I've seen the guy that did it like 2 to 3 times in my somewhat grown up life when I was like 18 or 17, and it's just kind of I don't know, it's just kind of, I don't know how to explain this. It's like a weird overall situation, and it's kind of overhanging, you know. I try to
Sounds terrifying.
dwell on it. It doesn't. I don't. Yeah, I'm trying to get my words out. Sorry.
No, take your time.
I think what I'm trying to say is, it's always kind of an ominous feeling, I guess. You know, like any second it can just kind of pop up in my head and it's suddenly there again. And I'll just assume that's probably just like a case of like PTSD, I guess, where it's kind of like a paranoia type of thing, where like you don't want to think about it, but you can't make yourself not think about a thing, especially when you're thinking about not thinking about it.
Right.
If you know what I'm saying. It's a thing, you know.
Have you tried meditating?
One of the reasons why I tend to try to distract myself constantly. I don't like having like an empty mind. I have to have something happening, you know, talking to somebody or playing video games or watching something or whatever, because keeping my own head empty is kind of easy to dwell on that particular thing.
The more you're sharing, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And I can't imagine what my brother's going through, because he doesn't have, I don't think he has the ability to cope nearly as well as I have, because he tends to struggle with his emotions in a general sense, and his overall just well-being. Like he kind of struggles to carry a job. He has a hard time taking care of himself, and it's just, yeah, it's rough. That's what it is. It's rough.
There's a few things that you mentioned that I'm curious about. I'm still not clear on whether you and your brother have had closure on what happened between you guys when you were 6 or however old you said you were.
Yeah.
Have you had closure on that together? Have you guys put that to bed? Are you guys in agreement on what that was and how you'll move on from it? Have you had that kind of a conversation?
Yeah.
And it hasn't helped?
Talked about it. I don't think we've ever come to a conclusion though. It's been such a, I guess, a touchy subject, such a hard thing to really talk about, that we've acknowledged it. We know it's there, but I don't think we've ever actually tried to tackle it in its entirety.
Is it possible that your brother feels you are responsible in some way because you're older? I'm not saying you are, but is it possible that he feels that way and that maybe...
I could see that. Yeah, I could very easily see that because I love my brother to death, and I know he loves me to death. It's just that I don't think he blames me, but I think he subconsciously associates me with it. You know, I think that's really what it is, and it's kind of hard to tackle that because I do have such a, I feel so bad for something that I don't even necessarily think I'm responsible for. You know, it's
right.
such a messed up situation that it's kind of hard to shift the blame towards me when it wasn't necessarily me that
of
you
course.
know, I did it, but it wasn't like that I wanted to or knew, or I was completely oblivious to any of it. And
well, you're the big brother. You're gonna be kind of the instigator for all kinds of adventure. When you're 6, much no less, you know, like your older brother is the one that kind of, you know, doesn't like call the shot. Well, yeah, you're kind of calling the shots when you're the older brother a little bit for that, especially at that age. So I'm not saying that you are responsible, because I mean that's the problem that this whole virus of molestation creates. It creates this virus that's just like, it creates this mess and it creates confusion and all this horrible stuff. And you're so brave to call in and share about this. And yeah, I want you to know, I hope you go back and look at the love you're getting in the comments right now. That the comments are just sending you so much love, and I hope you feel that. You know, so hearing you share about what has been discussed with your younger brother and what has not been discussed, it makes me think that your brother must be just dying to hear certain words from you. I don't know what those would be. I don't even know if I'd feel comfortable weighing in on what those words would be. But if you're telling me that he's not been willing to talk about it, or that he's been kind of evasive about it in the past, and that there's this divide between you guys, then maybe there are certain words that he needs to hear in order to put it to bed. Do you feel like you know what those may be?
Yeah. If I really put my mind to it and try not to avoid the overall idea about it, I guess I feel like I could probably, you know, just, I guess, just sit down and finally just kind of address it in its entirety and let him know that how I feel, I guess, and how badly I feel and how much I want to help him, I guess, you know.
Right.
And how I, you know, it feels like I feels kind of like I let him down, even though I didn't want to, or even though it was out of my hands, I guess, you know.
Right. Well, you guys were so young. You didn't know what you were doing. Yeah. And then there was something else you mentioned, that you tend to want to find distractions when this gets really heavy for you, and that you don't like I remember you saying that you don't like having an empty mind, and I also remember you saying that it's kind of hard not to think about it when you're thinking about not thinking about it, and we were laughing about that, and makes me wonder if you have like what does seem like it helps. Have you tried anything that seems like it helps you in those moments. Have you tried meditation? Have you tried anything like that?
No medication, but
No,
most
meditation.
oh, meditation. No, I haven't actually.
Okay. I mean, it's kind of exactly what you were trying to avoid with, you said you don't like having an empty mind, and that's kind of the practice of meditation. But, I mean, well, are you opposed to meditation, or is there some reason you haven't tried it?
No, I've just never considered it. I don't. I've always, it's kind of a thing that exists, but I've never really put any serious thought into it.
You have a counselor?
No. I technically could if I wanted to. Now, I've been in a situation where I haven't had any really any serious like health care or anything until the last year or so.
I see.
And if I really wanted to, I could probably do it now if I put my mind to it. Which I think would probably be really healthy for me to do in the long run, because this is a pretty dramatic situation. This is. But meditation, yeah, that sounds actually kind of like a good idea, because I guess it would get me used to being in an empty state of mind, like an actual empty state of mind, instead of dwelling on things I don't want to,
Right. Well, I don't make prescriptions, and that's not what this show is, but I had that thought about meditation because you were just saying so many things that, like, in my head it was just like buzzers going off, like meditation. And for me, it's a practice that's been so helpful because my brain goes a million miles a minute, and it's one of the things that's helped me slow it down and think about things in a fresh way, and just calming the storm in your head. Meditation can be so, even yoga, if you don't like sitting there and just silence and doing nothing, like even yoga could be pretty good for your brain and calming those thoughts. If you want to move your body while you're doing something, that can be, I think some people tend to like that a little better, but I had those two thoughts together because you've got a lot to address with your brother, it sounds like, and it sounds like you really want things to be better with your brother. But I would say, you're asking me, so I would say I think that you got to kind of take care of yourself first before you can take care of that with your brother, or that your mending things with your brother will happen faster if you have taken care of yourself and put that to bed, and you're able to control those emotions and feelings. I don't know what it's like to go through what you've been through, but I hope you know that that was not your fault. I hope you have come at least that far in your journey. You know that, right? You know that wasn't your fault.
Yeah. I've come to that conclusion a long time ago. It's
good.
There's just still this underlying subconscious feeling of just like kind of disappointment, I guess, and I know for a fact, like I know that it wasn't my fault. It's just a thing that I'm gonna have to deal with,
Right.
But I like the suggestion you had with meditation and yoga. I think that might be a healthier way of dealing with my mind just kind of racing than it would be to just constantly distract myself with social media or video games or whatever.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said rage room. They said you should go to a rage room, but I think that might be the opposite of what you want. I think that might be,
that might be
destructive.
Might be too much.
I've always wanted to go to one of those things, though. It sounds like a lot of fun. You just smash a TV or something. I don't know. I've never been.
Great stuff. It can be fun. Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea. Well, call back and let us know how that's going. And I wish you all the best in your journey of healing and putting this chapter away in your head. I mean, I don't know what that's like. I can only imagine, but you sound like you've done a lot of processing on your own, which is great. Yeah, all the best to you and your brother. And thanks again for sharing tonight. So it took a lot of bravery. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Julian.
Take care. All right, guys. Gonna take maybe one or two more, depending on what we run into here. I've missed the trolls tonight. Where are they? I kind of missed them tonight. I was hating them yesterday. Got me all frantic, but now I kind of missed them. Hello, you're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Hello. What would you like to talk about?
I've been kind of like dealing with something. I mean, with everything that's been happening, everything that everyone's been talking about tonight, I guess mine's kind of like not as crazy, but I just kind of like clicked in my head recently that I kind of have like a really low view of myself, and I kind of started to notice this recently when like people would compliment me, and I would just like totally abstract things away and like not take credit for things. I don't know how to describe them. Like,
don't know how to take a compliment?
It's not just that. It's like whenever someone says that I've done something well, I can never be like, oh, well, yeah, because I did this. It's always like, oh, no, it's because of circumstance. Oh, no, it's because this person helped me. Or like, oh, I can't ever kind of view myself as like being responsible for the things that I've done.
Interesting.
Yeah, and like I do have a counselor, and I've talked to her about it. And like,
what does she say?
Well, she kind of went into like my started talking to me about like my past, and like back when I was like a teenager and stuff, a lot of the critique I'd receive from family and peers and stuff would like always be negative, and so it's like it's what I've gotten used to, and it's like it's what feels comfortable, and so like whenever I get the opposite of that, it's almost like it scares me.
You don't sound like a pessimist.
What do you mean?
Are you a pessimist? You sound so upbeat.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like, I don't know. I guess I kind of live by like the fake it till you make it kind of thing. Like, I kind of force myself to smile and that sort of thing.
Okay, interesting. Have you talked about that with your counselor?
No, I haven't actually.
Interesting. I bet your counselor would probably draw a bunch of correlations between that and some of the other stuff, would be my guess. I'm not qualified to do that, but that would be my guess. I wonder, I mean, because there's like a fake it till you make it. There's something in common with that, and disregarding your contributions that people try to praise you for or compliment you for. It's like if you're faking it till you're making it, it's all got this element of disregard in it. You're disregarding something.
Yeah.
I wonder what that is. Do you know what that could be?
Yeah, cause, I'm not sure. Because like I know it's also I kind of like also I can never like what am I trying to say? Like if someone is spending time with me, I never see it as like, oh, they're wanting to spend time with me. I see it more as like, oh, they're sacrificing their time for my expense kind of thing.
You're really hard on yourself, maybe.
I'm sorry?
Are you hard on yourself?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty critical of myself. I do journaling, and I'm constantly highlighting things that I want to change about myself. Really kind of focus on that.
How old are you?
22.
22. Are you going through something in your life, like a big change or something? Is there something that changed recently and you're trying, maybe it's just some cognitive dissonance or something, or is it Is this just completely out of the blue?
I think it's something where it's more so like this is something that like I've been kind of dealing with underneath the surface, and I haven't realized it. And then like I think this is how I've been for a very long time, and I've only just recently started to notice that I'm like this, I guess.
Do you recognize when somebody says that you did something that was good? Are you able to recognize it as good, or is it that you can't let someone know that you accepted that compliment, or is it but deep down maybe you do know, or do you not know deep down?
I think it's I don't know. It's almost like, so if someone says something positive about me, I'll kind of like I'll take it like verbally. I'll be like, oh, thank you. But then like in my head, I just immediately I'm like, oh, they're just saying that to be nice, or oh, like that's not true. And like it's like I recently just something that stuck out of my mind is someone described me as like an organized person, and my immediate response was like, oh no, not at all. Like I'm a mess, and like I don't know.
You have trust issues?
And that was just like my instinctive response.
You have trust issues with family?
Not necessarily trust issues. Like, I trust people, but I think I have got like maybe like a fear of abandonment a little bit. Like I'm afraid that like with all my friends, I'm always afraid I'm on thin ice. Like, oh, if I say the wrong thing, they won't want to see me again.
Wow, that sounds like a really rough way to live. Sounds like a lot to put yourself through or to feel. I'm not saying you're doing it to yourself. I don't know if you are or not. So I'm not trying to be insensitive, but it sounds like a lot for you.
You're okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's, I don't know. I kind of like, I think part of it as well is like, my brain kind of skews it as like, oh, being hypercritical is a good thing, because if I'm hypercritical, then that means I'll focus on improving. But it's like, it's also like really strange because I can like, I'm aware of this. I'm aware that what I'm doing isn't like, I don't know, correct, I guess. But it's even with that knowledge, I still can't help it.
When you were growing up, were your parents affectionate and generous with compliments, and would they compliment you?
They were until they weren't. Like when I was like really young, like up until about 10 years old, it was all sunshine and roses. Everything was fine. They didn't go overboard, and they did But then when I was 10 years old, my parents split up, and my mom moved away, and then my dad started drinking a lot, and it kind of turned from me having both my parents to basically having neither, because I didn't live with my mom, and my dad was not sober ever when I came home.
Have you processed that with your therapist? I mean, that sounds like fear of abandonment 101 right there.
I just recently kind of touched on it with my counselor in my most recent session, and that's kind of like why this has been bouncing around my brain so much recently. And like, I think the thing that like I'm aware that there's like I guess I'm aware of what's wrong with my mind, but I don't know how to fix it. And I think I'm getting like really anxious over that. Of like, okay, how do I undo these years of training my brain the wrong way?
What if you created them? If you're being too hard on yourself, what if you just planned some intentional time or acts where you're just being good to yourself, where you're just loving yourself? Maybe you put it in your calendar, like appreciation hour or something, and you're just going to do something good for yourself for an hour. Or, I mean, and I'm not saying it's that simple. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but I just hear somebody on the phone that I initially thought was an optimist and like an upbeat kind of guy, and the more I'm talking to you, I'm hearing the real dilemma that you have, which is that you've got this hypervigilance of maybe you just see problems everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's more so like, to be specific, I guess, it's more so problems within myself. I don't really like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you see problems with yourself everywhere. Like it sounds like maybe you see no end to the problems. Like those problems maybe you think there's problems you've yet to discover. And surely there probably are. I mean, I think we all have problems that we've yet to discover, but
yeah.
But do you take time to be good to yourself?
I've started trying to get like because I mentioned how I journal, and I've kind of made a section of my journal so each day to kind of like, okay, what did I do well today? And I've been trying that, but I don't know. I find it difficult to think of things, and then I don't know, when I wrote it down, I guess I find it being like disingenuous to myself. I don't know, like, because I know that is what my counselor suggested, because she was like, oh, maybe every day write down like 10 things you're grateful for. And I've been really trying, but I don't know, I can't.
What about volunteering or something, or doing something for?
I'm sorry.
What about if you're being hard on yourself and you're journaling, and you find ways to write off things that you say to yourself, compliments to yourself, self-love. If you're writing those things off, maybe try maybe something like volunteering could help, or something. I'm just trying to think of like what's like a bulletproof compliment to yourself, something that you can't talk yourself out of. Like, yeah, I did that. That was good. Even if it's something small, like just being good to strangers in public, holding a door open for someone, or see a car on the side of the road, pull over and see if you can help. I don't know. I'm not saying you do any one of these things and it's gonna work. I'm just saying, like, I'm thinking out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely encourage you to continue unpacking this with your counselor. I'm glad to hear you have a counselor. I'm glad to hear that you are not opposed to counseling, and that you've done a lot of good work. It seems like you're journaling. That's a great step. You're aware of the challenge you have. That's a huge step. Yeah, and you had the bravery to call in to talk tonight to a bunch of strangers. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah. And also, when you mentioned volunteering, actually, one of my roommates, he actually does quite a bit of volunteer work. And I don't know, yeah, it could be an idea to like join him for some of the stuff he does.
Yeah, if you do that and then you're still not able to compliment yourself, there might be a bigger problem.
Yeah.
I hope not.
No. Yeah.
I'm sure there's not. You sound like a good guy. I think you're just maybe you're doing some deep self work, and I think that's great. And I hope you know there's a place you can call anytime if you want to update us, or if there's something else going on that you want to talk more about.
Yes, thank you. Oh, I'm on the edge of tears. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good night. All right, guys, we'll take one more call. I'm going to get off at 1 o'clock. I said I wasn't going to stay on until 1 o'clock, so here we are. Guess we'll be on till 1 o'clock. And I'll still be back tomorrow. We'll still be doing this tomorrow. So if you didn't get in tonight. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hello, thanks for calling. Can you hear me?
Hey, Julian. Hi, my name is Wes. Oh, I forgot we're not for anonymous. I'm actually driving home.
All right, he's toast. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hi. How are you?
I'm well. How are you today?
Well, I'm calling, so not as great as I could be.
What would you like to talk about?
So, I've always had a really great memory of my childhood, but recently I've started having a lot of repressed memories come back when I was like really, really young.
Okay. Like what?
And about my father. Everyone sees him as this really great guy, and that's how he portrays himself. He's very likable and just easy to get along with. But in these memories that keep popping up, he is abusing me, and I'm not sure if my family knows about it.
Wow. Are you sure these are real memories and not just let me ask it a different way. What makes you sure these are real memories and not just like a bad dream of some kind?
Because I have multiple accounts on different times of these happening, and I remember dreaming as a kid, and I know that these aren't dreams and that they've actually happened.
I see. Have you processed this with anyone? I know you said your family doesn't know.
I've talked to my partner about it, and they've been really supportive. And I've kind of mentioned it to my best friend. Haven't really gotten in depth about it. I've also kind of briefly mentioned it to my younger sister, and she doesn't remember it. She's fine because she had to be really little at the time.
Right. I'm so sorry to hear about that. Were you if you don't mind me asking, was your father was it physical abuse or was it sexual abuse or what kind of abuse was it?
Physical, yeah.
Okay, so he presents himself as this a certain kind of person, and then behind closed doors he's beating you.
Yeah.
Do you have reason to believe he's still abusing people?
No, I haven't seen him portray any of those signs in the past few years.
In the past 2 years. How old are you?
I'm 19.
19. Okay. So are you living outside of your parents' house now?
No, I'm still living at home.
Oh, really?
It's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard. Because I have to be around my dad all the time.
Right.
And he keeps acting like he's this great person. And I just cannot see him that way anymore.
Do you have an aunt or an uncle that, does your dad have a brother or sister that you're close with?
Yeah.
Have you talked with them about this?
I'm not really sure how to bring it up with an aunt or an uncle, because that's a really sensitive topic for anyone.
Right. Well, are your aunt and is it an aunt or an uncle on your dad's side that you're thinking about?
An aunt.
You have an aunt, okay. So is your aunt
Yeah.
A reasonable person? Is she someone that you trust?
Yeah.
I think she would probably want to know about this. Maybe there's something she could do. I mean, nobody can take away the memories that you have, obviously. I mean, that's something that you'll have to deal with forever. That's the tragedy of it. Nobody can take that away, obviously. But, if your dad has a sibling that he trusts and you have a sibling that you trust, maybe that could be helpful to open a conversation and just tell your aunt, I don't know how to tell you this. I'm scared to tell you this. But it sounds like you need people you can talk to about this. People that you know and trust, right? Do you have anybody?
Yeah.
You do have someone you can talk to besides your aunt?
Yeah, like I said earlier, my partner.
Your partner knows, yeah.
Are you thinking a family member?
Yeah, I guess just I mean, a family member is great. If you have, I think your aunt's a great person in your corner because it's your dad's sister. That's a pretty direct connection there. I mean, and of course, like, what's your aunt gonna do? It's not like she's gonna, like, I presume since he's not still hurting people, it's not like you want your dad locked up, right? What are you looking for? You want some closure or with your dad? What would make you feel better about this?
I think just like acknowledging it and like overcoming it and just having someone to support me through it would help a lot.
How does your partner support you through this?
Just talking to me, helping me get through things, just being there helps so much.
Do you trust your mom?
Not so much.
So you don't really trust either of your parents?
No.
And you're living at home?
Yeah.
That's super hard.
My aunt was also my neighbor for the time that this was happening the most. She just lived a house away. So, yeah, you're right. Maybe I should ask her about it.
I guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee you anything, but I can almost guarantee you that if you approached your aunt in a certain way, that she would hold that in confidence. You know, she wouldn't tell anybody if you didn't want her to. If you trust her, and she knows that you're scared to tell her in the first place and you ask her for confidence, I'm almost sure she would give it to you. Do you think she'd give it to you?
I think so.
Tell me more about your parents. Did your mom abuse you?
No. I don't really have a ton of memories of my mom.
Is your mom an enabler?
What was that?
Is your mom an enabler? Is she enabling your dad?
No.
No?
I don't even know if she knew.
Why don't you trust your mom?
I just don't like telling her personal things about myself.
Mm.
'Cause I've heard her talking on the phone about my other siblings, and she'll say some really personal stuff that my sibling entrusted with her.
I see.
Or, family members over the phone, and I'm like, oh, if she's doing that with my siblings, then she's got to be doing that with me. And I have heard her say things that I've told her to family members, and it's a trust thing.
You're observant. You're insightful.
Thank you.
That must come from living in a house where you don't trust your parents.
Yeah.
I've asked so many callers tonight if they have a counselor. I'm wondering, I apologize if I've already asked you, but have you processed this with a counselor?
I had a counselor a while back, and I started opening up to him about this, but he actually knows my dad.
Oh.
So I felt really uncomfortable. And then I started seeing a newer one recently, but I just can't afford it anymore.
Your parents have health insurance that you can use for it?
Yeah, but I can't find anyone that's compatible with it.
No one?
Yeah, it's really hard.
I think your aunt is probably your best bet then. If you're living at home, Do you have a job? Could you pay for this on your own? Could you pay a therapist like $60 an hour on your own?
I could.
You could afford that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think, I feel like you got to talk to your aunt at least. And I feel like if you can afford some counseling on how to deal with those repressed memories, I mean, that's some repressed memories. That's some pretty serious stuff. It was serious enough for your brain to suppress it and push it down. And, that stuff, if it's not dealt with, can manifest in all kinds of nasty ways. So I just would love to hear that you're going to at least talk to your aunt and that you're going to do some work in therapy, because if you're having these memories come back, you got to do something with that, I think. I think you can't just, I don't think you'll get the closure you want unless you're actively pursuing some kind of closure on that. And you might not get it. You might not get closure with your dad. Your dad may never, sometimes people who do things like that, they'll never own up to what they've done. So you may not ever get that closure, but, you can at least take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. A while back, actually, when this all started, me and my dad got in an argument because I didn't want to, like, hug him or be affectionate with him anymore, because obviously, and he got really, really upset and started yelling at me. And he's like, okay, let's go in my room and talk about it, which made me remember, oh, that's not a good idea. So I'm like, no, and he's like, why? And I'm like, because of everything that's happened. And then we fought for a while, and then.
So you mentioned this to your dad. Did you? It sounds like you alluded to your dad that you remember some things happening. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did that go?
The more time passes, the more I remember.
Right. Yeah. How did it go when you told your dad you remembered some things?
He seemed almost like sorry, but he never apologized. He kind of just excused it with, well, my dad abused me too, so you should forgive me because I forgave him.
Wow, you had that talk with your dad.
Yeah.
Wow. In what level of detail? Did you guys talk about, like, specific things, or did you just say, hey, I remember generally that you used to hurt me?
In general.
You just talked about general stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some people can't own up for what they're doing or for what they've done. And that's really sad. People never grow past that. When they can't do that, they don't grow past that. And are you still scared of your dad, or do you feel like he's... obviously, I'm sure there's some lingering fear from the memories, but is he still a scary guy? Do you feel unsafe living at home?
No, I feel fine. I can handle myself, I feel like.
You just don't feel intimate with him.
Memories that scare me a lot. What?
I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. I didn't mean to. I heard what you said. So it's not that you're scared of him, it's just that you don't feel any closeness with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. Well, I would love to hear that you're going to take some steps towards unpacking this with a counselor you can trust, a counselor who's not friends with your dad, and that you're going to talk to your aunt. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's a good idea or no?
Scary. I'd have to think about it, but yeah, I feel like that could be beneficial.
Maybe if I didn't realize you'd already talked to your dad, so if you've already had that conversation with him, maybe no change comes out of talking to your aunt, but at the very least, maybe you could get some support from her. Maybe she would support you and be a confidant, you know?
Yeah.
No, I'm so sorry to hear about what you've gone through with your dad and your mom, and that you're still living in that mess, trying to make sense of that. I know that's very, very difficult. I grew up in a very similar situation, and I can tell you're a very brave person, and that you've spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I wish you the best in navigating the challenges you're facing.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Julian.
Thank you for
I
calling.
really appreciate it.
Call back anytime.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm closing the phone lines. That was wow. You guys are amazing. That was some amazing conversation. Thank you guys so much for your patience with me as I'm figuring out how to do all this at once. Yesterday was insane because there were so many trolls and there were some technical issues and I was all over the place. But tonight felt a lot better. I'm glad we got a little redo in here. And I feeling much better about tomorrow now. We'll be back here tomorrow, 10 p.m. Central. And I see the chat's lighting up here, so I'll just take a second. See what's coming in. Glad you guys are feeling better about tonight. Great. Yeah, I agree. Tonight was much better. I'm seeing those comments. I hope everybody knows last night is not what I intended. You were watching me flying by the seat of my pants as the world was on fire. So echo issue, huh? I wonder what that's from. Was there an echo issue? I saw one person say that. If you got an echo issue, say yes. One yes on some calls. Okay, some people say yes, some people saying no with callers. Callers are doubled. Okay, I'm going to check the recording. Yeah, we're slowly and surely knocking out one problem at a time with the technical stuff. Sorry, guys. This is an effort of love right here, so we are going to figure it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's 1:10 in the morning, and I'm going to go to bed, and I'll see you guys here again. We'll do it again tonight. Tonight. It's already today. How about that? Thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow. Tonight.